All right, I got something cool for you guys today. Another project I'm pretty excited about. We've had the request from farmers that sprayers are getting too expensive. We're charging too much for these things. And yeah, sure, I agree. These things are worth a lot of money. So, what we've done is come up with a lower spec option that's worth less. So this is a brand new machine. It's still 3-year warranty. We're calling this the 5300 VL, but I'm calling it the VLS to kind of distinguish what it is. But the 5 stands for 5,000 liter tank. So usually we sell these things with the 6,000 liter tank, which is 1,700 gallons. The tank size on this is a 1,400 gallon machine. So 1,400 gallons, and the 300 is still that same 310 horsepower engine. Some of these specs change up a little bit though. You look at our hubs, we go to a smaller hub on this guy, right? So it's not quite as big as those big hubs that we usually spec on the machine. Our tire size, we're not a 900 anymore. We're going with a 620 on this one. Only a 120 boom, okay? You look at our tank, I'll show you that once we're unfolded, but it'll be a poly tank. You see it a little bit better from the back here. So we're poly rinse tanks, poly main tank. We still have all the cool stuff though to keep that poly tank clean. We have a clean out pump. No poly tank has ever been built with a clean out pump before. We still have the recirculating booms. Nobody's ever done recirculating booms on a poly. So we have, all the options to keep that machine clean. Most of the tanks in Europe, they're going with the poly tanks. Also, to cut some cost off this thing, we're going to a 2-2 auto select. So every 10 inches, I have 2 nozzles all the way across the boom. The way this works, right? First nozzle turns on is my orange. Next nozzle that'll turn on is my O2, number 2 up there. Next nozzle that'll turn on will be my 2.5 to 3, and then any combination of those. You still have lots of options, but instead of having a 4 position, we have a 2. We still put the LED light strips underneath. That's installed at the dealership, so we have better lights. Go around and show you the rest of it. Still the 110 gallon fuel tank, 310 horsepower engine. Still have our flex fenders, so the quick connects on the fenders. You still have the front fill that drops down with the hydraulics. The new cab is still on this one. New ladder. Take a look inside the cab here. I'll show you some cool stuff in there. Another big option that saves a lot of money. We go to no airbag suspension on the cab. So this is just rubber stopper inside there instead of the airbag like we usually have. So inside the cab, instead of having leather seats, right? These are cloth seats. So a little bit cheaper option on the seats. We still have the new monitor up here. So the Horsch monitor up here up top. We don't have the fancy Apple CarPlay radio. We go with the standard radio on this one. Still have the wireless phone charger. Not the metal cup holder, so it's the plastic cup holder, but it still has a new joystick. This is really cool. We have a new monitor now. So what this is, and I'll show you here in a second once we get going. I'll get some more video once we're fired up today as well. But we've completely split this monitor. This monitor is made by Lacos. So we can order this factory ready from Horsch, or, you can order it right here in Alberta. A company called AgriGPS. This is their bridge right here. And they can also have their steering system, which is their CRG installed. But what this means is, half your page down here on the bottom is your isobus, other half up here is your mapping and your auto steer lines. So, I can have my hand on the joystick here and be touching anything I want on the screen at the same time, right? Just like that. Pretty slick. So up on top of the booms, we still have, the flex boom at 120 feet, right? Go up here and look on top. This is our tank now. It's a smaller tank size at 1,440 gallons. We have our Horsch Connect for our telematics, and then the CRG receiver from AgriGPS. You still have all the cool stuff that Horsch does with the recirculating booms. You still have, the filter flushing on the top there. But probably the best part of this machine, right? We've decreased the weight by about roughly 6,000 pounds. So it's a lot lighter machine. We're coming in right around at 28,500 pounds mark compared to our big 8460 with the 160 booms and the 2140 tank. So smaller engine, smaller tank, smaller booms, smaller hubs, smaller wheels. We're cutting a lot of weight off the sprayer. And with that, you know, a lot of cost. So less cost, less weight, less compaction. You know, we have options for the guys who want to go big, and now we have this option here for the guys who want to go small. So here's a bit of a view of this new tank, right? A little bit different with the poly, for sure. You know, the stigma has always been guys don't want poly on their tanks, they want stainless steel. Sure, I get it, yeah, but you know, you've never had recirculating booms, you never had the clean out pump with that poly tank. So I think we're gonna be able to keep it clean in Europe. That's what they use, is poly tanks. So still the same boom, still has the double truss, the 8 sensors, the auto select. We have our flex point up here. It's our recirculating boom here. It's our outside sensor. We didn't spec the cameras on this one because again, we're trying to save cost on it. So inside here, we have our fence row nozzle. We have our edge nozzle. So fence row shoots out like this. Edge nozzle comes down like this. So now we're out spraying. We just got the auto steer working on this thing. So this is one of the very first times ever that this monitor has ever auto steered. So it looks like it's holding the line here. Our section control is overlapping a bit, so our outside sections are turned off, and also up here, it's turned off. We're going 14.2 mile an hour right now, and it's holding, you know, under 2 inches. You can see right there how far off it is, so we're anywhere from like, you know, 0.2, then moving a little bit on that side hill, but looks pretty good. All right, so with this 2.2 auto select system, we have twin fans in the back row, flat fans in the front row. We're doing 12 gallons an acre right now, about 16.1 miles an hour. And our coverage looks pretty dang good. The pressure is staying a bit lower down here on that 45 PSI mark because that auto select will, you know, pick the right nozzles to keep the pressure right around 45. But yeah, I don't think a weed can survive this coverage that we're putting down right now. Yeah, our auto steer is holding nice here at, you know, 16 miles an hour, 16 and a half now. But with this machine now, our tank size obviously is going to empty a little bit faster. We're only 1,400 gallons, but that's still bigger than most sprayers on the market right now at 1,400 gallons. So we're zoomed out a little bit now on our monitor, right? We can see we're changing the rate right now down to 4.5 gallons. Good, hit the back arrow on that, that'll save it. Just another view, so this is all customizable. You want, you know, in or out, as wide as you want to go. So our boom control's been working pretty dang good. You've been doing a bunch of speed turns and stuff, and you know, these booms haven't come close to hitting the ground yet. We're gonna go through a little low spot right here. Maybe it'll make me a liar, but that boom's gonna flex. Oh, almost. Yeah. You know, we're going 14 mile an hour through those low spots there, but it flexed through. Just touch the top of the stubble. Just like that, it's gonna flex down again. So definitely not a flat field, but we're still cruising through, you know, 15 mile an hour right now, 25 inch. So what's happening now is our back pump, so the cleaning pump is pumping clean water into our main tank. At the same time, our main centrifugal pump is pumping it out through the booms. So we'll go outside and we'll take a look. So the machine's cleaning itself out right now. What's happening is these nozzles are all turning on and off, each one, right? To make sure that each one is cleaned out, right? So none of them get forgotten. So back pump turns on, sprays into the main tank, the big poly tank up there. Centrifugal pump underneath then takes that dirty water, spins it out into my booms. The nozzles all turn on one by one to clean the machine out. So this machine has now all the fancy technology on it. Circulating booms, all the section control, the automatic nozzle switching, the pressure control, the 4-wheel steer. But because we went with smaller tires, smaller hubs, smaller tank, smaller engine, the overall weight of the machine much less, and the overall price much less. So the whole point of this sprayer, right? You're gonna get all the performance. Your weeds are gonna be dead. You're gonna get everything that you want for the high-tech stuff, but lower price and lower weight. So what we've done now, you know, with this model, we still have the hydraulic adjust on our axles, right? So we got 620 tires on here. The reason why we picked 620s, you look at where the offset is. It's perfectly aligned, so I can make 4 tracks instead of 2. The reason why I want to do this, if you're doing burn off and dusty like it is in Alberta this year, this front tire will disturb the stubble and, you know, kind of make it dustier, right? The back tire will run in that same track and kick up all that disturbed soil. So if you put both tires running in fresh soil, you're gonna make less dust. Same thing for your in-crop herbicide. This front tire is gonna knock the weed over and kind of lay it over. If that back tire runs in the same track, it pushes the wheat and hurts it more, right? So if you offset them, the wheat pops up faster. So the last cool feature on this sprayer, kind of a made in Canada option that we install, but we got LED lights underneath on our frame. Just like that, because our booms have these LED strips on them, right? So, you know, we bought the lights anyways. Why not make it look cool and put them underneath just like this? Why not? So we just started bringing these things into Canada with this model with the smaller tank. You know, I think it has a fit on farms, you know, that want to spend a little bit less money, but also, you know, want to have the warranty, want to get the dealer support, and also get all of the technology, you know, the flex boom, the boom control that goes on all of our sprayers, right? So it only comes in a 120 boom, 1,400 gallon tank.